That is to say, assuming we're out of here before midnight.
It's like Carrie just sent to work today, and they were like,
So let's see if. Well, we already have a quorum, okay, so if I leave, then you guys can't have this meeting. Amber, if I leave, you guys can't have this meeting. If I leave, it looks like you guys can't have this meeting. Oh, I said if I leave, it looks like you guys can't have this meeting. Next month's agenda's like this. Oh, okay, okay, he's here, he's here.
Record 4-hour meeting.
How's it going, Richard? Good. This is such a festive shirt. Thank you. It made me smile.
That's why I wore it.
A little Hawaiian breeze going on today. Is that an option though that I just didn't know existed?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
seems to be,
It's a debatable thing.
it's like the trending thing in spelling.
Okay.
Like, no other thing about it.
Well, better than a typo, better than a
Yes.
typo or an actual misspelling.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I can handle that. What were they smoking when they typed this?
It is 6 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Bigger, roll call, please.
Harrington.
Here.
Perkins. Musgrave. Brandon.
Here.
Kinnaman.
Here.
Kyer.
Here.
Delaney.
Here, we have a quorum. Both Mr. Perkins and Ms. Musgrave notified us in advance that they would be absent at this meeting. Mr. Perkins is out of town, and Ms. Musgrave is sick. I would entertain a motion to excuse both of them.
So made?
Second.
Motion by Brandon, support by Kinnaman to excuse Mr. Perkins and Ms. Musgrave. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Brandon.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Guyer.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Consent agenda. All items listed under consent agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the Village Council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed separately immediately after consent agenda approval in its normal sequence on the regular agenda. What is the pleasure of council?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Kinnaman, support by Harrington to approve the consent agenda as presented. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Brandon.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Guyer.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Before we get into, before we get into our business, I would like to take a few moments to review the rules of order and general etiquette by which our council meetings operate. First and foremost, there will be no crosstalk, loud side conversations, or calling out with questions or comments from the audience. Additionally, there should be no roaming around the chamber. Members of the audience will please keep their seats unless they're using the restroom or approaching the podium to speak. As chair, I promise that everyone who wishes to speak will be given the opportunity to speak. If a member of the audience wishes to speak, either in public comment or on an agenda item, he or she will first be recognized by the chair. To seek recognition by the chair, you may either raise your hand or stand at your seat, but please wait to be recognized by the chair before approaching the podium. Please note that public comment is the residents' opportunity to give council constructive input or to make requests. It is not, however, a dialogue, and residents should not expect council or staff to immediately answer questions during public comment. However, if a resident's question is particularly relevant to council business and there is an answer readily available, council or staff may answer in council and staff comments at the end of the meeting. The public will please be mindful and maintain proper decorum at all times. While constructive criticism is always welcome, we ask that the public please refrain from insults, name-calling, or baseless attacks. Those who know me know that it is my custom to allow quite a bit of leeway in this regard. I would simply remind everyone that resorting to ad hominem attacks shows that you don't have a rational argument that is based in facts and reflects more upon the intelligence and good faith of the attacker than the one being attacked. Please remember that we have these rules of order and etiquette in place to preserve the dignity of this body and this chamber, to ensure that everyone is respected and heard, and above all, to ensure that our meetings are run with maximum efficiency. So thank you very much for that. So first off, we have a public hearing on the fiscal year 2024-2025 proposed budget. Mr. Walker.
Thank you, Mr. President and Council. So tonight is the time set for a public hearing on the fiscal year budget 2024-25. This time is set aside for public comment. If any members of the public wish to make comment on the budget, just brief summary. The entire budget encompasses, including all funds, that would be water and sewer, major roads, transportation, DDA, garbage, lake improvement, local road, major road, and general fund, total of $10,626,433,000 of total revenue, and total expenditures of $10,372,115. The millage rate for this year, again, rolled back due to Headley and Proposition A. So last year, the millage rate was 11.65. This year, the millage rate will be 11.51. And so that's just a brief summary. We will go into detail on the budget, of course, pursuant to new business item number 4 in your packet tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walker. Ms. Bigger, could I have a roll call vote to open public hearing?
Actually, I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All right. Motion by Kinnaman, support by Brandon to open the public hearing. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Brandon.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries, and we open public hearing at 6:06. Is there anyone who would like to offer public comment on the budget? All right. Seeing none, hearing none. We need a motion and support to close public hearing.
Sure.
Second.
Motion by Kinnaman, support by Brandon to close public hearing. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Brandon.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. We close the public hearing at 6:07. Public comment. Members of the public may address council once recognized by the chairperson. Comments are limited to a maximum of 4 minutes for items not on the agenda. Council may extend this time by up to an additional 4 minutes by a majority vote. For items on the agenda, comments may be made after council discussion prior to council vote. Prior to addressing council, members of the public will please state their name and address for the record. Is there anyone for public comment? Ms. Mattson.
Anna Mattson, 15091 Western Valley Drive. On 2/14/2023, I turned in my very first FOIA request to the Village of Holly. FOIA stands for the Freedom of Information Act. This is a Michigan and a federal law that is, in my opinion, our biggest tool, along with the Open Meetings Act, to keep our government accountable. The framers knew this when they wrote in the act that, quote, "It is the public policy of this state that all persons are entitled to full and complete information regarding the affairs of government." This law allows us to receive public records, which include emails, receipts, and yes, even text messages. The Village of Holly failed to respond to my request in a lawful time period and ultimately wrongfully denied it. I appealed this decision and turned in 4 more requests in the following months. At first, I tried to work with village staff to have them reconsider their denial. They refused. I was forced to retain legal counsel. After months of back and forth and a failed appeal with counsel, I felt it was my duty to file a lawsuit against the village. I am happy to announce that after over a year, the village and I have come to a settlement agreement. While this settlement relieves all parties of liability, hundreds of documents that were wrongfully concealed originally were released to me in the process. It was clear that I was not going to receive these documents without legal action. Ms. Brandon told me that FOIA cannot be used as a fishing expedition, but in fact, it can be. Anyone can request any record at any time with very limited exceptions. A perfect example of why FOIA is so important is right here. Last meeting, the village president and staff misinformed the public about how many citizen participation forms were turned in for the open planning seat. You guys told the public only 1 was turned in. My lawsuit uncovered over 100 active citizen participation forms, 38 of which are for planning. These forms do not expire, and my request was specific for active applications. So it's either the village lied to me fulfilling the request, or the village lied to the public. Many people know our federal government is corrupt, but less people know that local governments are more easily corrupted. That's because less people have the time or attention to notice it. Luckily, I noticed, and I pursued legal action. I am thankful for my legal team for believing in me and believing in a larger mission. Let me be clear. I took these actions not for me, but for all of us here in Holly and for all Americans. Governments all across this country are working to take away our rights. It may start with a wrongful denial of a FOIA request, an unlawful closed session, the formation of illegal committees, or worst of all, censoring the public's speech. If we allow government to do these things like the village has, they have a license to do anything. I want to leave you with these words from the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mattson. Is there anyone else for public comment? Mr. Mattson.
Good evening, everyone. Brian Mattson, 15091 Western Valley. First off, Richard, love the shirt, by the way. Looks great. Second, I just wanted to send my condolences to the DeSessa and Krantz families that our community lost. Two people who truly cared about Holly and its citizens. Unfortunately, the rest of my comments are somber as well. At the May meeting, I learned that Bob Hoffman was no longer going to be serving on the DDA board. Throughout the public comment period prior to Bob speaking to his objection of this decision and how it was handled, there was much chatter between comments and even back and forth discussion with citizens from the audience and staff. However, when Bob asked a question that warranted a response, President Delaney responded with, "Public comment is not meant for discussion," to be expected. Where was the desire for structure and order last month and those before? I watched the DDA meeting from the day prior to Bob and he learned from discussion of the positions amongst the board that there may be some changes in people on the board, including him. That's how we learned that he was not going to be on the DDA board anymore during a meeting. Not a one-on-one meeting, not a discussion, not a phone call. What a gross display of weakness, cowardice, and lack of leadership. Later in the evening, after all hope was gone for any order or structure, since it was a free-for-all for hours, President Delaney dramatically exclaimed that we are to have respect and dignity of the civic duty that is attending these meetings. This was after Mr. Love spoke out of turn from the audience like half the meeting before him. But that didn't matter for the very next person when Joe Hutchins utilized his public comment on the topic of weddings in the alley to compliment President Delaney for taking control of his meeting. Something totally unrelated to what was up for discussion. It seems as though the common theme is that you take care of those you like and the rules only apply to those you dislike. I hope the standards that you stated at the beginning of the meeting for public comment in the meetings going forward are consistent here on out. We all deserve better.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Cullis.
George Cullis, 601 East Maple Street. You know, as an elected official, we all serve the public. I know you understand that. And a lot of times people don't see a lot of the things we do that serve the public. And in these forums, it's an opportunity to, for the citizens to come and voice their concerns and give comments on things that are going on. What you rarely hear is somebody come up with a compliment. But that's what I'm here to do tonight. As the township supervisor, I work with Mr. Walker from the village, and I work with Mr. Narsh from time to time because the village is in the township. On June 14th, I received a phone call, we were all closed, from a resident over on Clarence Street. They were having a problem with a vicious dog. And the problem had grown from one attack where he pulled a dog off a porch to another attack where he jumped a fence and took the dogs in the backyard and the resident got involved and he got bit, to the most recent attack, which happened, I believe, the day before, where the dog literally ran down Clarence Street while the lady was trying to get rid of him, attacked her and mauled her dog. For those people that saw it, was the lady that walks the Greyhound. The greyhound was fighting for its life. It has since had half of its mouth amputated. The dog is finally now gone. But the problem was it wasn't gone. Police had been out there, animal control had been out there, animal control cited technicalities of why they couldn't remove the dog and take care of it. The residents called and said, what do we do? At 11:01, I texted both Jerry Walker and Jerry Narsch, and I said, I need you to call me urgent. Within 10 minutes, they were both on my phone. We had a conference call. Jerry was in the middle of a funeral, but he called me. Mr. Walker was off that day, as was I. My point is, animal control was back within a very short period of time. Mr. Walker, Mr. Narsch, or Chief Narsch took the lead, and the problem was resolved. And by Monday morning, the dog had been destroyed. I know, nobody wants to see a dog destroyed, but public safety is number one. Those residents were very thankful. They called me. I wanted to pass that on to you this evening. I wanted to thank my partners, both Mr. Walker and Chief Narsch. When we need each other, we're there. And that is very good proof of it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Collis. Anyone else for public comment?
May I ask the question of the staff, please, Mr. President?
Certainly.
I was going to ask if Ms. Mattson's accusation about 100 applicants instead of one was truthful. I'm holding a bunch of applications in my hand. And I can see right now that a lot of these people are currently serving on boards. Some of these applications are 5 years old. Some of these people were offered positions that they declined. Some are unqualified to the positions with which they applied. But at any time did the president or staff lie to the council or to Ms. Mattson and say there was only one application available when there were 100?
No, I would say that over the years, obviously, there have been several applications or submitted citizen participation forms. During this last vacancy for the Planning Commission, staff solicited applications via the website and also via social media, at which time one was received.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for public comment? Seeing none, hearing none. Old business, consideration of the approval of resolution 2024-017 regarding the purchase and easement agreements with Adams Outdoor Advertising to facilitate the relocation of the train depot. Mr. Walker.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So at that council meeting of May 14th, this issue was set before council for consideration. The agreements for both the easement and the purchase agreement had been reviewed by Attorney Gildner, who did not find any issue with them. The council postponed action on that specific date on May 14th and wanted clarification on two facts regarding the request. One was the actual size of the billboard that was going to be relocated or constructed on the adjacent lot to where the current billboard is. And the second one was in reference to communications equipment that was attached to the billboard and what was the purpose of that equipment. So the answer to those two questions are both contained in the council action request that you have before you. The size of the billboard is the exact same size as the current billboard, so the new one will be the same. It's 10 feet by 22 feet. Those are the dimensions and will be at the same height. And the second, the communications equipment that is mounted on top of the billboard is for remote control of that billboard only and to change advertising. It does not have the capability to transmit or be sold to other users to put messages. It's strictly for the use of the billboard company. And in the event that there is no paid advertising or community advertising that Adams Outdoor will be placing on the billboard, that's how they will shut the billboard off, so there will be no light emanating from it. So based upon answering those two questions, we have this request before you again for approval of Resolution 2024-017.
I would make the motion to approve Resolution 2024-017, authorizing the village manager to sign the purchase and easement agreements with Adams Advertising.
I will second that.
Motion by Kinnaman, support by Kyer to approve Resolution 2024-017. Is there any council discussion desired on this item? Is there any public comment desired on this item? All right. Hearing none, seeing none. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Harrington.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. New business, proclamation regarding William DeSessa. I have a proclamation recognizing the service of the late Mr. William DeSessa to the village, and I would like to read the wording of that proclamation by way of introduction. Whereas William DeSessa was appointed to the Village of Holly Planning Commission and the Village of Holly Historic District Commission on May 14, 2019, and whereas Mr. DeSessa was also appointed to the Village of Holly Cityhood Exploratory Committee on January 9, 2024, and whereas William DeSessa devoted many hours which contributed to the success of the commissions and committees he served on, and whereas Mr. DeSessa was very involved in the Holly community and served the community in many other ways, now therefore be it proclaimed by the Council of the Village of Holly, Michigan, that we are inspired by William DeSessa's dedication and loyalty to the Village of Holly. We are grateful for his numerous contributions to the community. He will be sorely missed. And that is signed by the President Pro Tem and myself. What is the pleasure of council regarding that proclamation?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the proclamation for Mr. William DeSessa.
I'll second.
Motion by Brandon, support by Kinnaman to approve the proclamation. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jane DeSessa, and I'm proud to say that William DeSessa, or Bill, as you all know him, is my husband. With me this evening is our son, Will DeSessa. I cannot thank the City Council and the residents of this community, not just for your time. Bill loved this community as much as I do. We've lived here for many years, and to receive this proclamation on behalf of our family is a tremendous honor. But at the same time, I am so proud to be here and to live, to be a resident of this community. And members of the Village Council, thank you so much. Thank you for everything. And I don't know if my son wishes to say anything. Jerry, thank you so much, sir. You're amazing. I appreciate you coming and the support to everyone. Thank you so much. Will, say thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
William C. DeSessa, William George DeSessa's son, formerly an address within the township, or within the village, rather. I didn't prepare anything to say. I would just like to express my gratitude to the council and also to Mr. Walker. Thank you all so much for being there for our family. I don't like to speak on behalf of other people, most of all Dad, but if I can for a moment, I know that this would mean a great deal to him. And so I truly lack the articulation or the vernacular to express the gratitude I feel. But for him, thank you so much for this. And thank you, Mr. Manson, for your words earlier. I appreciate that. So, Take care, everyone.
Thank you very much. Item number 2, under new business, consideration of the approval of resolution 2024-027, confirming the village president's appointment of Kirk Cross to the Village of Holly Planning Commission. It's our custom to invite new appointees to the podium to introduce themselves. So, Mr. Cross, if you would, please.
Thank you for this opportunity. Excuse me. My name is Kirk Cross. I was born and raised in Holly. I've lived here most of my life. My father was a founding member of HVA when this was, so I spent many years as a little kid here. When I became old enough, I joined HVA and worked as an EMT. I've served in the United States Army. I'm a business owner. I'm a Holly graduate. My kids have graduated from Holly. One will next year, hopefully. I said I'm a business owner. My ties run deep to Holly. My grandfather helped build Dixie Highway. I still have family property. I learned to ski at Mount Holly, have relatives buried at the cemetery there. I've lived in the village for the last 25 years, and I thank you for this opportunity to help serve my community.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
What is the pleasure of council?
I will make a motion to approve consideration of approval of resolution 2024-027, confirming the village president's appointment of Kirk Cross to the Village of Holly Planning Commission.
Right, motion by Brannon, support by Harrington to approve resolution 2024-027. Is there any council discussion desired on that item? Is there any public comment desired on that item? Ms. Mattson.
Anna Mattson, 15091 Western Valley. It sounds like Mr. Cross is a great candidate. Just seeing his passion up here, that was awesome. I do want to just address the planning citizen participation forms. When I turned in my FOIA request, I asked for all citizen participation forms, resumes, and letters of interest that are currently on file and active for all boards, councils, and commissions. If someone withdrew their interest in serving, those documents do not need to be provided. So according to my FOIA request, those citizen participation forms that I handed you were active at least as February is when I received those documents. And I'm sure more people turned them in from then till now. Now, I can probably go back and quote several meetings where we've had this discussion on how these citizen participation forms work. There usually is not an email blast or anything when there's an open position. And I know this because Mr. Walker explained this to us, as well as the village president on the record, that it's just a rolling thing. You turn in an application, and as positions come up, you go back through the citizen participation forms that you have on file. There's no expiration date. So if there are any in that pile that are not active or anything, they should have been taken out. And every applicant, regardless of how long ago they turned one in, should get equal opportunity unless they withdrew their consideration. So you can't just say, you know, we have an open position, we're only going to accept that application for 1 week. What about all the people that turned in an application the past year, the past 2 years, and they're just sitting waiting for an open seat? And since those open seats are not publicized, that's the expectation that you're going to go through old applications. And I will happily go through old meetings where all of this is confirmed, and any of you are welcome to talk to me, but you guys talk up here when I can't speak back, and you never come up to me and talk to me individually. You are more than welcome to do that. I've emailed you guys. Like I said, I am thrilled with this applicant, but every applicant deserves your time of day. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment desired on this item? Seeing none, hearing none, we have a motion and support. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Kyer.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 3 under new business. Consideration of the approval of Resolution 2024-029, amending the water supply and sewer disposal rates.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This resolution that you have amending the water and sewer rate ties directly into the budget adoption, acceptance and adoption, which is next on the agenda. You may recall a couple of years ago, we paid for a study conducted by Plant Moran of our water and sewer rates and what they would recommend as increases going into the future. So staff each year calculates what we would recommend, but we also, the council authorized to have Plant Moran conduct that study. They did so. Plant Moran's recommendation for this year's increase was 2.7% of an increase. Staff, upon doing our analysis and then speaking with Plant Moran, determined that a 2% increase would be adequate, and so that is the request that we're placing in front of council. As you know, water and sewer cost is not a money-making proposition for the village. The village makes no money out of that. The village is a customer, just as every other water user that's connected to the system is a customer. So there's no profitability for the village to increase the cost. It just simply pays for the maintenance and the provision of water and sewer services to the customers. So what would a 2% increase result in? A 2% increase would result in a raise of 17 cents per 1,000 gallons of water and an increase of 28 cents per 1,000 gallons of treatment for the sewer or the wastewater. And so that's what this increase of 2% would cause or would happen with the water customers for an average annual increase of $22,958 on the water side and $38,009 on the sewer side. I can assure you that neither of those increases will cover the increases in the cost of operation to provide those services, but it will allow us to operate those services. And so our goal is to keep the increases to a minimum, and that's what we're proposing to you tonight, is for this increase of 2% for both water and sewer service.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. What is the pleasure of council?
I'll make the motion to approve the water, what it is, 2024-029, amending the water supply and sewer disposal rates.
I'll second.
Motion by Kinnaman, support by Brandon, to approve Resolution 2024-029. Is there any council discussion desired on this item? Is there any public comment desired on this item? Yes, Mr. Field.
Just out of curiosity, what's the increase for, the 2% increase for? Is that for general inflation, or is that just to help pay for something else, or?
Well, so the increase for both services, the water and the sewer service, are both for operations. And so, yeah, inflation plays the largest part in that. Just like everything in your own household increases, these do also.
Is there anyone else for public comment on this item? Seeing none, hearing none, we have a motion in support. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Brandon.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 4 under new business. business, consideration of the approval of Resolution 2024-030, acknowledging receipt of and adoption of the Village of Holly fiscal year 2024-2025 General Appropriations Act.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So this action by council, this consideration and ultimate acceptance and approval is required by village charter as well as state law. This has to do with the fiscal budget for all funds within the village. It is, just as I stated previously, the total in revenues anticipated to be received is $10,626,433 with expenditures of $10,372,115. And so you can see the margin is very close there between revenues and expenditures. You'll notice on your budget summary sheet that there's a transfer amount in the general fund of $3,500. That is to account for the allocation that council indicated you wished in this budget to provide $3,500 to HIA for this next fiscal year. And so that is included in this budget. This budget also includes a garbage rate increase. Garbage rate increase is directly proportional to the refuse contract that the village approved with Priority Waste. Previously, we were with Republic Services, who provided our waste and recycling services. They had indicated that there was going to be substantial increase, and our contract was ending this year anyway, so upon going out for bid, Republic was the least expensive to provide a comparable service to what we had received from Republic, and that service is scheduled to begin the first week in July. The cost of that service amortized over all of the customers within the village that use that service worked out to be $240 annually. So it's a $40 increase from last year. Last year's cost was $200 annually. Still, if you look at private subscription service for areas not within the village, that cost would be much higher than $240. So we're still getting a good deal, but it is an increase, and I wanted to point that out to council. The other increases, I talked about HIA being included in this. This also budget includes employee contractual raises as well as other raises for non-union employees that were discussed during the budget study sessions. The highest raises for employees are at 3%, with one of our union groups had negotiated a 2% increase this year. So you have raises of 2 and 3%. And as you know, again, with inflation and the cost of living, those costs are much higher than those 2 or 3%. So currently we're in union negotiations right now with the fire union for a new contract which is slated to begin in July and will run 3 years. And then in 2025, July 1st of 2025, we have new contracts that are due for the police officers union, the police command officers union, and the Teamsters. And so we'll have all those negotiations scheduled for next year. Would council have any question on the budget?
Any questions from council that we didn't cover in the budget study sessions? What is the pleasure of council?
I make the motion of approval of resolution 2024-030, acknowledging receipt and adoption of the Village of Holly fiscal year 24-25 General Appropriations Act.
I'll second.
Motion by Kinnaman, support by Brandon, to approve resolution 2024-030. Is there any council discussion desired on this item? Is there any public comment desired on this item? Seeing none, hearing none, we have a motion and support. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Brandon.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 5 under new business. Consideration of the approval of Resolution 2024-031, amending the 2023-2024 budget. Mr.
Yes,
Walker?
thank you, Mr. President. So budget amendments are required before we close out this budget. You have before you a list of budget amendments, proposed surplus and deficit, and it lists from the general fund, the major road fund, the local road fund, the lake improvement fund, the solid waste fund, the DDA fund, the sewer fund, and the water fund. And so those numbers that are listed there are different than what council approved and what we anticipated. Just for clarity, the general fund difference of $428,640 has to do with the construction and renovation of this building where we're at today. So we would ask for approval of this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. What is the pleasure of council?
I will make a motion to approve the resolution 2024-031, amending the 23-24 budget.
I will second that.
A motion by Brandon, support by Kyer, to approve Resolution 2024-031. Is there any council discussion desired on this item? Is there any public comment desired on this item? Seeing none, hearing none, there is a motion and support. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Harrington.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 7, consideration of the resolution 2024.
Mr. President?
Yes.
You skipped number 6.
Oh, 6. Thank you. Consideration of the approval of council action request to have CES line the sanitary sewer for the new middle school. Mr. Walker.
Actually, Director Clausen.
Director Clausen.
Good evening, council. Thank you. Village staff negotiated with the Holly Area Schools Administration to split the cost of having the sanitary sewer line on East Street for the new middle school. Village staff solicited bids for that sewer lining. We received 3 bids with the help of Rowe Engineering from Corby Engineering Services, who have done work for the village before, Inland Waters, and Instituform. The bids were $57,140 for CS, $78,105 for Inland Waters, and $72,932.49 for Instituform. And part of this negotiations, Holly Area Schools agreed to pay 2/3 or $50,000, whichever was less. So that staff would recommend that we award the bid to CES and get the sewer lined for the new tap for the new middle school. Any questions?
That's quite a price difference.
CES is a local company. The other 2 companies are a little bit farther away, so the difference, most of the difference was in their mobilization fee.
Got it.
So,
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Clausen?
No, just thank you for soliciting bids.
which is, this is pretty good because there's only about 4 companies in the state that do this. So we got 3 of them to solicit bids. So.
What is the pleasure of council?
I'll make the motion to approve the recommendation to have CES line the sewer for the new middle school for a total cost of $57,140, with Holly Area Schools reimbursing the village for $38,093.33.
I'll second.
Motion by Kinnaman, support by Brandon to approve the council action request. Was there any further council discussion desired on that item? Is there any public comment desired on that item? Seeing none, hearing none, we have a motion and support. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes.
Thank you,
Motion
Counsel.
carries. Thank you, Mr. Clausen. And item number 7 under new business, consideration of the resolution 2024-024, allowing alcoholic beverages in Lakeside Park on July 21st, 2024. Mr.
Yes,
Walker.
thank you, Mr. President. This is the same request that council has had in front of you for the last couple of years. As you know, alcohol is prohibited in village parks unless specific authorization is given by the council. And so that's what this request is, Resolution 2024-024. It's from the Holly Moose. The date of the event is July the 21st, 2024, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Lakeside Park. They will occupy the large pavilion if approved, as they have done the last couple of years. The Moose has in the past, and they are planning on again providing fencing for the area. They also will provide ID checkers to make sure that it is only members only and appropriate age that participate in this. So based upon the Moose's past history of good compliance with this, and there have absolutely been no issues, staff would recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. What is the pleasure of council?
I make a motion to approve consideration of resolution 2024-024, allowing alcoholic beverages in Lakeside Park on July 21st, 2024.
I'll support.
Motion by Brandon, support by Harrington, to approve resolution 2024-024. Is there any council discussion desired on this item? Is there any public comment desired on this item? Seeing none, hearing none. We have a motion in support. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Kyler.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Reports, Mr. Walker.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President and Council. So you have before you my written report. In that report, I talk about the renewal applications from both Loom and from Stash. The former applicant was Cloud Cannabis, just for clarification. Both of those applicants did meet all requirements for the renewal process, took care of all of their pledges as well as any submittals that were required and the relicensing fee. Based on that, I have administratively approved both of those applications, and I just wanted to advise council of that. The next item is not in the written report, but I would ask council to consider the scheduling of a special meeting on July the 16th. And I will schedule that unless council has objection. The purpose of that meeting would be to consider equipment for the fire department. So as you know, the fire department, they have two aged fire engines, a 34-year-old ladder truck, which within the last 6 weeks caught on fire, which is pretty ironic, fire engine catching on fire at the fire station. Fortunately, it was able to be saved and is scheduled to be returned to the fire department and put back in service this week. And their second responding apparatus or engine is a 24-year-old engine. So that's still in good service. You know, they don't get a tremendous amount of miles, unfortunately not a tremendous amount of use, but as you can imagine, they do age out eventually, and if nothing else, for technology purposes. So the reason for the request for the special meeting or the scheduling will be to consider the purchase and a funding mechanism to make that purchase of a new fire engine. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Mr. Gilbert, anything for us?
I've been debating whether I say anything in response to Ms. Manson and the way she characterizes her lawsuit and what transpired. I will refrain from making those comments. She's not here to listen to them any longer, but it certainly is difficult to to hear her characterize it one way when we all know what actually happened. So beyond that, no, I've got nothing else to say.
Mr. Gilner, the issue that was raised was already litigated and settled, correct?
It was. But it's the background, right? It's the background.
Right. Well, one wonders how long we will all enjoy hearing about the background. Ms. Bigger, anything to add to your written report?
No, nothing, sir.
Boards and commission updates and council comments. Ms. Kyer.
Yes, for parks, we met earlier this month. We're still figuring out budget items. We had to obviously wait until we finalize this budget for us. I just want to say a huge thank you to Loom, who has agreed to give more money for projects. In case you don't know, the Parks Commission, over the last year, we have installed or plan on installing a new drinking fountain at Lakeside Park. We have put in a mom and tot swing at Lakeside Park as well. We put gazebos up at Waterworks Park. Recently, we had a park cleanup day at the High H at Ganshaw. We had a good amount of volunteers. We were originally just supposed to plant the H, and we ended up essentially cleaning the whole park. So I just want to say thank you to all the volunteers that came out for that. And then just a question for this administration or maybe our police. I know we've had some complaints about the parking across from Venue 111 here on College. And it seems as though we're still violating ordinances over there.
So, I mean, if you'd like, I had talked with Chief Nurse about speaking to him. As you know, he has a problem with the microphone. If you wouldn't mind, we need to council update.
Awesome job for parks, by the way.
Thank you, Chief.
I had to give it up to, this will make Jerry happy, but where was the camera again? Try to get that cue going on. So there was a concern came in the other night, and about the same time that I received the same email that the rest of council did, there was a resident drove by and said they saw multiple signs in the roadway. At almost the exact same time, I was getting a text from one of our officers who took it upon himself, knowing that there were some issues, so he was in the area, and he was driving, and actually observed and spoke with the resident that was also observing the signs. The officer spoke with me on the phone, said that the only sign that was in the roadway that he saw at any time, and he stayed in that area, was their small sign with an arrow, and when he approached the manager and said, all of these signs need to be off the roadway. There's an obstruct roadway ordinance, they need to be on the curb. They're still visible, but off the roadway. That one, they said, was because that was where people were supposed to go, so they set it down there. The officer then advised him to put it up along with the other signs. The officer also took some pictures. So he also spoke with the manager, and the manager instructed him that they are manufacturing signs that are going to go into the grass on the other side of the curb, which will comply completely with the ordinance, still provide visibility, and that is evidently the going forward what they're going to do. I'm not saying that they're one side wasn't accurate, but the officer, I shared with him the pictures that were sent to us, and he said that's not what he observed. He observed the one sign, and he had a conversation with the manager, and they resolved it quickly.
Sounds like a long-term resolution.
It does, and that part of the problem they had is if you set the sign up on the curb, then a car parks there, nobody can see, and then it's kind of chaos. And at that moment where you have a lot of cars coming, it becomes a traffic incident where everybody's backed up because they don't know what to do. Signs sometimes assist traffic flow and actually create safety. So by doing the other type of sign, it provides visibility, but it's out of the roadway.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Very welcome.
Did you have anything else, Ms. Kyer?
Yeah, awesome job on parks, though, by the way. You guys got a lot of stuff done.
We're making stuff happen.
Very good, yeah. Mr. Kinnaman.
Planning Commission did not meet this month. Would have been tomorrow. And no meeting. So nothing more really, other than 4th of July is coming up. Everybody have a happy 4th of July.
Very good, thank you. President Pro Tem Brennan.
Making history. I don't have anything today. I think that's the first time ever.
Mr. Harrington.
HIA has been, I would imagine they've been granted a full-time caseworker to take over duties for the part-time caseworker that's in right now. And we all, Karen, think she's a great person, but she's going on to a different area, and she loves Holly, so we'll be missing her. But we'll have a full-time caseworker to take care of problems with children in school, and that'll be a good thing.
Very good, thank you very much. I have nothing to add except to wish everyone a very happy 4th of July. At this time, I will hear a motion to enter into closed session to discuss employee evaluations for the village clerk treasurer and the village manager.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Kinnaman, support by Brandon to enter into closed session to discuss employee evaluations. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Brandon.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Tyre.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Audience may feel free to wait until we come out of closed session, or you can feel free to leave if you desire. It's up to you. Thank you. Yes. Can we just say we're giving it a couple minutes?
I mean, the room's really far away.
I will entertain a motion to come out of closed session and back into open session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Brandon, support by Kinnaman to come out of closed session and enter back into open session. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Brandon.
Yep, yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Is there anything else at all from council or staff?
No.
All right. Very good. With nothing further, we will adjourn the meeting at